Let's get ready to. One line again.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Okay. Let's not be ready to rumble.
That's not the line. Do you want to change the line?
No, line good. Line no need to change. No need to change. Let's get.
You good?
Let's get ready to rumble.
Done a discussion.
Now we have versus. Dun dun dun. Probably just like once the intro hits, it'll be like just DC and Marvel icons and just like bang bang and bang.
Maybe.
And just they consume each other and it becomes Dragon Ball Z and then you put in the Boo soundtrack.
Yeah. We'll
if you're a
develop
Dragon
more
Ball Z
graphics
fan
at
and you're
some point.
watching this,
Go away.
we want to tell you something. You are the worst fan base in history. Second,
You're a cunt.
you're only second
Stop
to Star
watching
Wars
anime. It's
fans,
not good for you.
and you're terrible. And not every anime is good. Want proof? It's called Batman, the fucking whatever it was.
Batman Ninja.
Batman Ninja. That should never have been a thing.
Have you seen it in the end?
No.
Good. Good.
Anyway,
So
moving
yes,
on.
this is a versus episode. Basically, something that we've entertained for a while and we may want to do more often.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's the only episode where we say a bunch of stuff that we will never agree on.
Yeah.
But we have to agree at the end about who's winning.
Who would win? Because we're not going to be like, all those other YouTubers where it's like, except for Death Battle. Death Battle's good because they look at facts and everything, whereas I did see one which had Dragon Ball Z versus the Justice League, and once the Justice League lost, they went out and stated everything in the Justice League doesn't make sense. It's like, wow, everything in a comic book universe doesn't make sense, but for some reason everything in an anime does. It was literally one of the worst things I've ever seen. And this is apparently a really big channel, so we are going to argue. It's more of a debate. We argue for what we're fighting for, but ultimately we have to state at the end who we think would actually win the fight, because we have to be honest, because we have to recognize that these characters are very well established. Well, not all of them are very well established.
No.
But it'd be kind of like saying, okay, who would win the fight between, let's say, Superman and, Thor? It'd be a close fight, no doubt about it, but logically Superman would still win in the end because, well, I know Marvel, when the actual crossover comic book happened, didn't like the idea of Superman wielding the power all the time, but the hammer all the time, because they knew it'd make Thor seem irrelevant, which it does.
Well,
So
yeah, but
they let him wield it the once, and then afterwards it's like, nah. Most DC fans kind of went, nah, if anyone else could, it'd be him. Which is true. Or Wonder Woman, which she could. But anyway.
But there you go.
Moving
Basically, the idea is fairly simple. We've each picked 4 champions, which is all one well-known hero and villain and one lesser-known hero and villain.
Yeah.
We've all picked 4 weapons that
Yep.
could be potentially
Used.
present, and 4 settings that we could potentially fight in.
Yeah.
But we don't pick them as we anymore from this point. At this point, it's all randomized, so we don't actually know who we pitch against whom with what attribute
Yeah.
and
So
where.
it
or
could
why.
be the one very well-known, very well-established hero could end up taking on one of the very less well-known villains. Who fights each other in the end is randomized. What weapon they get is randomized, and what stage they get is randomized.
Exactly.
Basically, Injustice just with DC versus Marvel.
There you go. I'm on the Marvel side,
I'm DC.
and the attributes go in between both
Yep.
of us. Now, do you think we should introduce our champions up front, or do you want them to have been introduced like while that goes?
So we first talk about anything. What else do we need to talk about in the rules?
I think that's pretty much the rules.
I think we should just introduce the champions up front.
Yeah,
So do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
whichever you want.
I'll go first then. So I'm going to do the 2 less known heroes and villain first. Hero and villain. So the villain is from DC Comics, obviously, but he's from Detective Comics as well. He is Mothman, a Batman villain, and he is literally just Mothman. And he did appear in Teen Titans, the animated series, once, maybe twice. But he is a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
But he's actually, odd enough, quite strong and quite impressive. The other one is Vigilante. He was in the Justice League Unlimited series, and he's been in Arrow in this current season, and he's literally just a vigilante who goes around shooting people. Yeah, and then we have the two known ones, and they're both very powerful. The very well-known Wonder Woman villain / villainess is Cersei, not Cersei Lannister. But she is possibly, oddly enough, maybe Wonder Woman's strongest villain. Maybe. Potentially one of her if not at least second or third. And we'll get more into their bios and details about them once they actually do fight.
Sure, yeah.
And my other one is, my hero is the very well known, very first human Green Lantern, second human Green Lantern, technically, but first in most universes, is Hal Jordan. Technically first is Alan Scott, but I'm going Hal Jordan. Classic, because I'm a big Hal Jordan fan and I like this Green Lantern. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna follow the same pattern. Start with the lesser known villain, then hero, then well known villain, and then hero. So my lesser known villain is MODOK. Basically, he's not a completely unfamiliar villain, but I feel like in comics he's not really appeared much in recent times, for good reason, because he's fairly useless. All of his powers really just include being fairly intelligent and being able to control machinery with his mind. That's about it. My lesser known hero is called Doorman from the Marvel Universe, who's basically, his body is just basically like a portal that anything, like we've discussed him actually before on the worst superheroes episode. So watch that one back if you want to learn more about him. Then my fairly well known supervillain who is getting his own movie soon, it's Venom. I know that he's more of an anti-hero usually, but I decided that in a way you could go either way. Like, you could also be a hero like Flash Thompson, or you could be more of a full-on villain like the early kind of Eddie Brock stuff. Yeah. And I decided that the symbiote obviously bonded probably best with Eddie Brock, so that's the version that I decided to go with. And as my well-known hero, it will be Wolverine. Not much to explain there, because he's had like 9 movies so far, so everyone's up to speed there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should probably just get into it.
Yep. So we're probably going to do first randomize who are going to be the combatants.
Yes.
Then we're probably going to do the stage, and then the two. Are we going with 2 each weapons or just one?
Just one each.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. 2 in one battle and 1 for each side. But yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah.
And then we'll probably flip a coin or something on who gets the first weapon.
Yeah, who gets the first pick of the weapon.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your first combatant will be Vigilante.
Vigilante. All right.
And he will be fighting Doorman.
Okay.
So it's lesser known hero against lesser known hero.
Interesting already.
Alright. They will be fighting in Earth 1.
Earth 1.
So that's the DC universe.
Yep. Alright, so are we going to pick a specific city? Should we narrow it down?
Seeing as it's a DC universe, I'll give you the pick.
Alright. Seeing he was in Arrow recently, I'm going to go Star City.
Okay, Star City. Cool. And they will be using... Right, so do you want to flip the coin before we randomize?
Yeah, shall we do that actually? We'll try it once this one and then once the other one, see which one works better. Right. What are you going to go with, heads or tails?
Heads, can't go wrong.
It's tails. I get first.
Of course. Okay, so you will be using a gun with adamantium bullets.
I was so hoping it would be for Vigilante. What are the odds?
Okay, yeah. To be honest, against Doorman it's fairly useless, but sure.
It is, but still, I was kind of hoping it would be for Vigilante, because I was thinking he can't use too much else except for a gun with an adamantium bullet in it.
I will be using the Spear of Destiny.
So something equally useless for the other person.
Well, that's the thing. What are the requirements to use the Spear of Destiny?
So let's quickly go over all the stages and everything and basically what they mean. So first off, we're fighting in Star City on Earth 1 for DC. What does this mean? Basically, it means Vigilante has one significant advantage. That's the city he currently is living in. That's the city he knows. He knows its in, its outs. He knows where everything is. So that's basically his one major advantage.
Right.
He has home turf. He also has a gun with an adamantium bullet. Adamantium is what? The strongest metal, or is it second strongest after that?
I think it's the toughest one.
It's the toughest metal in the Marvel universe, and that will still apply to DC because it's metal. It doesn't really change that much depending on what universe you're in. And the one major advantage for him is he uses guns, so giving him that is a real useful thing. It probably also has very high penetration, so he could shoot through walls. However, the Spear of Destiny, this is the one we have to go into a bit more context about because the gun's a bit self-explanatory. The Spear of Destiny in the DC Universe is one of the most powerful weapons in existence. It is basically the Infinity Gauntlet, except you don't need the hassle of collecting all the gems. Some universes, it was broken down into pieces and they need to collect all pieces, but still. However, it has one significant problem with it. You need, at least from Legends of Tomorrow, which is the version I'm going to go with slightly, at least from the basis of using it, is you need to do the actual chant from its ancient history, which will allow you to use it and change whatever destiny or reality you want. However, I don't think Vigilante or Doorman knows the chant. So basically, they've got a really cool spear. It's still a spear, so he could stab Vigilante with it.
I'm pretty sure I'm still winning this one.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I mean, unless we got very lucky and, in some reason Vigilante was able to get the jump on him, which, let's face it, probably won't happen.
Well, if he did, he would just probably phase through to the next room.
Yeah, exactly. What about a headshot?
Well, here's the thing. That's the thing. Like his entire skin, the entire surface of his skin is basically a portal.
Okay, fuck.
That's why he's incredibly OP. That's why there's not many things. Like we did have particular combinations in our list that could have potentially defeated him.
Yeah.
For instance, the Infinity Gauntlet, the Spear of Destiny in the right hand.
Yeah. Which realistically, because she's a sorceress, we're going with the idea that Cersei would know the chant.
The Helmet of Fate and the Green Lantern Power Gauntlet would have all been able to beat him.
Yeah.
So this is like the 50% chance where he's pretty much unbeatable.
Yeah. So
I think this is
it's going to be hard for me to try and... I think in the end, does adamantium in any way affect him? Because I'm trying to think, is there a way my guy can... Okay.
The only thing you could potentially do, and I don't think this will actually guarantee you victory in any way, is you can shoot the spear out of his hand.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. If Vigilante figured out a way to change... if he knew the chant in some particular way, he could shoot the... I don't think he'd want to use the adamantium bullet on it. He'd probably just use one of his regular guns and regular bullets, and then save the adamantium bullet for afterwards.
I mean, given what it is, I don't think an adamantium bullet would destroy the Spear of Destiny. I think...
No, it can, because it was broken apart before. It doesn't mean it can't be, fixed and put back together. Because that's the thing, if you snap it in half, it can't work. But if you put it back together, just like that, it's perfectly fine again. So you can destroy the Spear of Destiny. It takes a lot to do it. But also, however... I think that's the thing. Let's say, an example, if you compare it to an Infinity Stone versus the Spear of Destiny. If you destroy an Infinity Stone, that's it for the Infinity Stone. Pretty much, yeah. Unless you have the Time Stone like in Infinity War. But the Spear of Destiny, you break it apart, it's still usable. You just need to get it back together. There is no logical... There is one way of destroying it, which Sarah Lance does in The Legends of Tomorrow, which is doing the chant, changing the reality, changing the spear, basically taking away its power. That is probably the only way you could realistically destroy it. But even then, you probably wouldn't want to do it because it's such a useful tool, and it's something that the heroes could even use if worse came to worse, which I don't think they have ever done, to my knowledge.
Still, though, we can talk about this fight more and more, but I think that
it's such a one-sided fight.
I think it's fairly obvious. The only advantage you have in this one is that my potentially strongest fighter is gone now.
Yeah.
But I think it's a done deal.
Who knows? Maybe there's something in the database that where it's like, oh, as it turns out, he has an extraordinary superpower, which it probably won't happen.
Probably not. I think he's just a gunslinger.
He is literally just a gunslinger. That's the thing. Okay, abilities. This is actually too funny. Driving, firearms, hand-to-hand combat, advanced.
That's it.
it gets worse.
Alright.
The law.
You can't beat Doorman with the law.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Because no one beats. Because Judge, he was taught by Judge Dredd.
Still, I think Doorman wouldn't obey the law because he doesn't obey the laws of physics.
And throwing.
Throwing.
Yes.
See, if you had the spear, that would have been really useful. But no. I think it just ends with Doorman just stabbing.
Yeah, because I wanted to see if it was like one of those. Yeah.
If the Spear of Destiny can be used by Doorman altogether, then it's it's an even harder win.
Yeah.
So it's not going to change the outcome all that much.
Okay. All right. So it was used by Jesus Christ in the comics during World War II.
Okay. Why or what?
Yeah. World War II. The spear was used by Jesus Christ. Has had many different owners throughout years. The most previous was World War II. Oh, Adolf Hitler had it. Sorry, never mind.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
And Hitler couldn't use it, obviously.
Well, obviously.
Captain Nazi who attacked Spectre but then nearly killing him. Okay, that's funny. No, it's alright. On Earth 32, the spear didn't really exist. It was used to cover and prevent allied. So yeah.
Okay, well.
Because I think the thing is as well, the reason... Because I think that also in the original comic books, the Spear of Destiny didn't need the chant. Oh wait, no, it does. For now, with the ancient Spear of Destiny... Oh wait, no, it's just him speaking German, never mind. But
Doorman cannot speak German.
No. But I don't think it needs to be in German. I don't think in the original comic books it needed to have a chant, because it was just there, but at the same time... It is such an overpowered weapon.
That's the problem. It's like it's an overpowered weapon held by an overpowered character.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like either way, like if you gave him the chant, he'd still be vigilante. If you didn't give him, if the chant wasn't needed, then he has a weapon of unlimited power. Unleash. So let's do like the if possible scenarios. So obviously your guy just uses it and he wins.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. The only possible way is if it doesn't need the chant, if Vigilante is very lucky and he just shoots it, flings it out of the other guy's hand and into his own. This is a 1 in a million shot. But if he does, it's the only way he can win.
That's the only way.
That's the only way he can win.
I don't see it happen.
Yeah. Poor Vigilante. I had high hopes that he'd get lucky.
This was a really sad.
Too bad he wasn't Domino.
Nope.
Come on, guys. We need to argue more. Give us more fights where it's more logical.
Okay. You ready? You ready? You ready?
Yep. Who's the hero?
Green Lantern.
Yes!
Someone who has some more potential, I'd hope.
Who has the most powerful weapon in the galaxy.
Will be fighting Wolverine. So far it's going pretty...
Interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Stage.
Okay. Stage will be... Earth 616.
Alright, so Wolverine
It's supposed to be random, but for some reason...
Do you want to be in what city or what town?
I vote it's in... I think Wolverine's powers will probably come out the best in Savage Land.
Alright.
So we're gonna go Savage Land.
Yep.
And... Oh yeah, so...
Wait, no. Do the pick first. Do the thing and
I'm
then
gonna
we'll...
go Tails this time.
Ah, okay, I was gonna do...
Oh, okay.
Shit. Teds.
Okay.
I shit you not.
So, you're... Fuck's sake. You're getting the Helmet of Fate.
Oh, God. So, Green Lantern is now... Oh, God, that's...
So, Green Lantern, Dr. Fate. Against Wolverine with a vibranium sword.
So basically, Hal has the most powerful weapon in the galaxy and now the most powerful piece of armor in the galaxy. This is...
Okay.
No, because vibranium
I
sword, you could still win because it's just the healing factor is something we need to account for.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm still thinking with the vibranium sword.
You pitch your
could probably destroy the helmet. I'm thinking because it is one of the strongest materials on Earth.
Yeah.
Especially in the 616 universe.
Yep.
I just don't see why Wolverine needs a vibranium sword because his
body
is made out of
adamantium.
Amazing metal already. But okay, so one hand swords, one hand claws. Going into battle.
My guy can fly.
Yeah, true.
And my guy can literally
that's the benefit of the sword. Let's pretend that vibranium, just like with Captain America's shield, right? The vibranium sword. Like, if you throw it properly, it will come back to you by bouncing off of like a billion trees or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
You can still throw the sword.
Yeah.
And then,
So one of his powers
Well,
is throwing.
okay.
This would have been really helpful for her.
like, here's the thing. What I think is going to happen is he throws the sword to Green Lantern, right? Green Lantern stops the sword with his ring, and then Wolverine lunges at him while he's distracted with like holding the sword, like focusing his power on holding the sword. Obviously, he's quite strong, but I feel like still he would be maybe plenty distracted.
I think the problem is though now. I'm actually. I think oddly enough, I'm going to point out one significant flaw my guy has, which I'm surprised you haven't. Maybe because you're not as well aware of the effects. But I'll get into
Sure.
it. So first off, the easiest way my guy wins is he just puts a force field around Wolverine and flings him into the sun. That's an easy way. Because the thing is, Green Lantern isn't bound by Earth. He can fly into space.
True.
The one problem is, so I'm going to actually, oddly enough, pitch the things that can go wrong for my guy. First off, his
Okay.
ring needs power. The longer the fight goes, the more power is drained.
That's true.
But to be fair, problem is now, people say, oh, but he's Hal Jordan. He's not anymore. He's Dr. Fate.
True.
Meaning, oddly enough, he's drawing more power from the Helmet of Fate than the ring. The ring is down to Hal Jordan and Hal Jordan's ability to draw his own will. He's no longer in control. Oddly enough, it means he's fighting the Helmet of Fate more so. So I say he's probably too distracted. I oddly enough think your guy has a good chance here. The one thing is though, if Hal can either let Naboo take complete control, Naboo will win the fight. Because he'll either teleport him or do whatever mystical shit. But if Hal's able to take off the helmet, he'll have complete focus, he'll know exactly what's going on. He just needs to be quick about it.
Right.
Your guy, odd enough, could win this fight really easily. Because Hal has a real negative... Because that's the thing, I was kind of hoping...
Still voting for throwing the sword.
That's the thing, Wolverine
Just
would do
fucking-
that regardless, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, because he's a fucking savage like that.
Yeah. But the thing is also we need to account for...
But that's the thing. That's the thing that I feel about Wolverine as well. We're literally debating how our characters are losing this one
Yeah.
at this point. But the thing with Wolverine is he's kind of a do then think later kind of. He's not quite the strategist.
Mm.
So he feels like if he has a sword, he can throw
Yeah.
it, and then with his claws extended, he'll just jump at Hal Jordan.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. The two things with Hal, we're going to account for both Hal and Dr. Fate's personalities. Dr. Fate is very calculating. He's
Yeah.
very
So is
he's calm, collected, and everything. Hal's more cunning. Hal's the guy who can really easily improvise, and he does it a lot. And he catches his enemies off guard. He catches Sinestro off guard a lot of the time using just his wit, and that's the one advantage he has. But once again, his minds are literally because it's two very big. Hal would never voluntarily put on the because that's the thing. Are we talking about he already has the Helmet of Fate on, or is he going to put it on? Because if he's going to put it on,
he's already got it on.
because that's the thing. If he has the choice, he's not going to put it on.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because then he's just.
But
Gonna,
this is basically like you're forced into an arena. You have to wear it, and he's been wearing it like for a while now. So he's gotten to.
that's yeah.
kind
If
of
he's
know
been
the
wearing
rule
it for a
kind of.
while, at this point, then the Helmet of Fate has probably gotten a lot of control, or maybe Hal and him have figured out a way to coexist.
Maybe.
That's the thing. If they've been together for a while, they've figured out a way to coexist, and they're probably that's the thing. It's probably where if they found a way to coexist, Fate probably lets Hal do most of the fighting at the start. If the fight prolongs and Hal and the ring is losing strength, the Helmet of Fate will take over.
Right.
And that's the thing. You have essentially the most weapon of one of the most powerful weapons in the Justice League, and one of the most powerful members of the Justice League because of his weapon, fighting together.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Out of the two, logically, they're the two that will win because they have too much power between the two of them now to realistically lose this fight. However, because they're conflicting minds, they could easily lose.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like I feel like the healing factor is like the biggest pro in this story.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the thing is like. Hal Jordan could easily fling him up into space, but I feel like he could still like kind of last in space for a while.
Yeah, unless
if
he
he's-
threw him properly, completely just straight into the sun. But yeah, if he's just in space.
But at some point, like if he goes into the sun, everything of him will burn. Then through some way gets repurposed, get back into space, and his cells will start to kind of regenerate.
I don't think he'd be able to, though, because the gravitational pull of the sun.
Still the 616 universe, where heroes always have like a backdoor thing. Like Deadpool once was gone down to like a single cell, and he
True.
regenerated from that.
True.
And he has like the regeneration light from Wolverine,
Hmm.
Like-
That's true, actually, yeah. I will say that the one big advantage my guy has now that I think about it, Dr. Fate can see the future. He can see, so he already knows the outcome.
Mhm.
So he already knows how this fight's going to go, so he's won.
Yeah.
He's already won. That's the problem. Because
There we go.
that's
I
the
think-
ultimate trump card.
I think we're there.
Yeah, because
That's it.
Fate can see, and that's the thing. Fate can see the future. He'll probably quickly. The hard part for Fate is convincing how to let him help. That is the one problem. But if he can do that, because that's the thing, I think they win regardless
Right.
because of that factor. It's just how beaten up by they are at the end. Because this is the thing. Can the Vibraniums... probably the Vibraniums can. I'm thinking about whether the Adamantium course can pierce Hal Jordan's Green Lantern shield. Because the Green Lanterns all have a protective aura around them that allows them to fly through space.
I think
And can allow them to take... Hal has
Should do,
taken
right?
punishment from Darkseid, Mongol, Superman, and he's gotten up from all of it and walked away.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's taken more punishment over the years than a guy who has a healing factor. He doesn't have it. He's taken more punishment.
Sure,
weirdly
but
enough.
the thing about vibranium is though the properties of vibranium is once it's cast into a shape, it will absorb the energy of anything that gives it resistance, and it can release that energy back onto what it is. That's why Cap's shield never gets dented. That's the technology in the Black Panther suit that basically can absorb all the energy. In the film, you can absorb it and then contain the energy and then release it in one big mighty pulse. Now, for the sake of argument, we're going to say the sword does not do that. It just releases the energy as soon as it gets the impact. But
Yeah.
still, the Green Lantern shield is a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And not just that, it's pretty much infinite energy.
It's limitless energy depending on
So,
the user. And
limited
Hal
as
is considered
energy,
to be the best lantern
Vibranium
ever.
sword, pretty big explosion, I'd say.
Yeah. So that could kill Hal. If the vibranium sword hit Hal when Hal was on his peak in willpower. The other thing we need to factor in is the magical effects of the Helmet of Fate. Is it the same? Does the sword affect how Dr. Fate's helmet the same way it affects everything else? Because magic works very differently in the DC universe than probably in the Marvel universe.
True, but this is the Marvel universe.
That's true.
Then
That's the
again-
thing. Does the effect of the Helmet of Fate carry on from the DC universe? Does that mean? I mean, in terms of
I
like,
think it wasn't banned by universe. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
say
the
for the
thing.
sake of, also because I'm winning pretty hard at this point. So let's say for the sake of argument that the magic is carried over exactly
Yeah.
as it is.
because I think the thing is, your guy actually getting the vibranium sword is a huge advantage here, but
Yeah.
my guy has something that allows him to see the future.
True.
So I think
So
I'm-
basically, like he sees the future, he sees that he's penetrated with the vibranium sword. All he does is move like slightly to the
Yeah.
left.
I think in the end, oddly enough, this is a stalemate because the two combatants are very not evenly matched. It's just that Wolverine has the healing
Yeah.
factor and a very powerful weapon, and Hal can
True.
see the future. But the problem is he's held back because of what allows him to see the future.
I think
If it was either Dr. Fate or Hal fighting this fight one-on-one without the need to worry about something else, they probably would.
I think at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure Hal would win this fight.
Yeah.
Because again, the predicting the future thing is kind of a
It's a
huge
huge
thing.
advantage, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one to you.
Okay.
Okay, I've lost this one.
I was willing to give it a stalemate, but I'll
Yeah.
take the win.
It's a 1-for-1. Because again, like, I was thinking about the vibranium sword at some point, and I thought, yes, that's it. But no,
Yeah.
because the predicting the future, all you have to do is move away.
Yeah.
And also, like, what I also thought about, which surprisingly enough, you also didn't come up with,
I
is
have-
the Green Lantern ring
so-
holds a huge database, like, can scan anything around them and give a huge database of like
Yeah.
what these things do. Obviously about vibranium as well.
To be fair, the problem
So-
is though, the ring only knows everything the Guardians know, and it doesn't. And the Guardians don't know anything about this universe, so therefore the ring doesn't know
True.
anything. So the ring,
Dr. Fate's helmet though.
Doctor Fate's helmet, but that's the thing. It can see the future, so it doesn't need to know everything. It just needs to know what happens
Yeah,
in the
fair
future.
enough.
That's the thing.
Either way, I'm
yeah.
I'm happy to say
Yeah. So here's the
One
problem.
all.
So wait, what are the other stages? Fighting stages? We have Oa. We have the real world. We have what else was it?
Bizarre World
Bizarre World.
and Battle World.
Battle World. Battle World's what?
Marvel.
That's interesting because now we've got 4 worlds left,
Yeah,
and you have the Infinity Gauntlet.
true.
You need
And
you need Battle World,
need-
otherwise it's useless.
Well, or you.
or
or
me.
you.
That's the problem because now my surviving Cersei
Cersei and Mothman.
Cersei
And
could.
I've got Venom and MODOK.
I feel like Venom versus Cersei would probably be a lot closer than I give credit.
Yeah.
But Cersei versus MODOK, I feel like be That one probably be a
That's
little...
easy.
Yeah.
Modok
But
would win.
Mothman.
Mothman would
He
Modok. I want
needs
to happen,
he needs a
actually.
weapon at this point that could... the gauntlet. I'll discuss the gauntlet.
Cool.
But,
Are you ready?
Yep. Alright, here. Let's go.
It's Mothman.
Alright. I'm kind of hoping for MODOK because I feel like Venom is just going to rip Mothman apart.
I kind of hope as well, because then we'll just end up in the tie somehow.
Yeah.
It's Venom.
Fuck! Alright. He can still win. He needs a lot of things to go his way. But he can still win.
Alright, so the stage is Bizarre Earth. I'm saying Tails again.
It's Tails. You get first.
Oof.
Oh.
I am getting an electromagnet, which is useful. You are getting
Actually, I don't feel like anything can be useful at this point in Bizarre World.
the Infinity Gauntlet.
I
Yeah.
get a bunch of cool gems.
Actually,
I figured out a problem with Bizarre World, which, if the Infinity Gauntlet doesn't work in other universes, but Bizarre World does the opposite effect, does that mean the Infinity Gauntlet
I
works?
think yes.
Can
But I have
Moth-
an electromagnet.
but I've now figured out the major problem. Can Mothman wield the bloody thing? I don't think he could. It's
It's
so...
too small, isn't it? He's like, oh, fuck.
To be fair, I've
Okay.
got the thing here of like his powers and abilities. So his weakness is alcohol and drug addiction. First off. His abilities, though, genius level intellect.
So he's an alcoholic genius. Where have we seen this before?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay, so I feel like he might figure out a... Plus, he can fly because he's got a wingsuit, but that's probably not really relevant to a guy who can swing from buildings. But Bizarre World, oddly enough, is the major factor here.
Well, yeah.
Because it does reverse the effects of a lot of things.
I
So I feel like it can make the Infinity Gauntlet work.
Actually, now
But-
I think of it, what does it do with an electromagnet? Like, if I were to electromagnetize the Infinity Gauntlet, would that have the magnet go to the gauntlet instead of the other way around?
I think it goes to the Gauntlet then.
What does it do with Venom symbiote?
That's the other thing. Does it Venom symbiote even work? Because that...
It
this,
should do, because it's an organism.
yeah.
So
I think that's the thing. It's an organism, but it might change the personality of the symbiote. The symbiote may be less of a parasite.
yeah, but that would make it even stronger in a way, because that means that Eddie Brock inside has more power over the symbiote, so he could use it more towards. Then again, it wouldn't be as hungry, let's say, as man. So it would be less likely to probably less aggressive.
Oh, so just a quick note for the Bizarre World thing. Bizarre World affects powers, ability. So, for example, in the Lego, there's like a Lego animated short or something about Bizarre going to Bizarre World. So, when Guy Gardner Green Lanterns arrive, he can only create chicken constructs. That's one of the restrictions. Now, obviously, in a more proper animated movie, it would get a bit more in depth about it. It probably would mean that Hal's Ring would just stop working, probably.
I think House Ring would still work, but not on willpower.
It would draw from their fear, which means it would be
I think
more useful.
it would draw from their laziness, probably. Like, the less they want to do something, the more they can do.
That's right, because I think Wait, isn't it Guy Gardner's opposite more of a scaredy cat, though? I thought that was the idea.
I think the idea in the DC universe that willpower and fear stands directly against each other, but it's in the real world, obviously I can.
But this is Bizarre World, this isn't the
Bizarre
real world. So it would probably reverse it into fear. But anyway, moving on. I think the thing is,
this is such a
it doesn't affect personalities, though, because that means the genius level intellect and everything, that's unaffected. Along with the alcoholism and drug addiction, which is irrelevant because there's no drugs or alcohol in Bizarre World.
There might be, but they may have the opposite effect.
So instead of making him dozy and confused, it would enlighten him.
Yeah, but would he drink during a battle, though? Oh no, he would use the Infinity Gauntlet to spawn more.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, he wouldn't destroy anything, he would just make more. That's the thing. But no, sorry, because the Infinity Gauntlet isn't necessarily to destroy. So that's...
I'm also going to say quickly, in the Infinity Gauntlet, considering we're adding it into the fight, can whoever of our combatants use it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I think if that's the case, I think Mothman wins because he has the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, but still, like, there's still factors that kind of hang around it, I feel. Because you can use it in Bizarro World.
That's true, and it wouldn't be to destroy, which is what the original, not
But-
purpose, but that's what it's
But
meant.
again, like I feel like the electromagnet could change a lot of things. Where like if it goes up to the, actually, but yeah, does it work? Seeing as magnetism would probably be opposite, so magnets.
It would repel. They would repel each other.
There you go. So
The other factor is, would the stones change? Would time work in a different way there? Would the stones reverse their
we've gone into
purpose?
something very complicated.
This is a very complicated fight to work with, because I think the stones, the Infinity Stones, like the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones would work, but I think they would have opposite purposes. The Time Stone wouldn't allow you to control time, it would make time more uncontrollable.
I think it's like inverse controls, maybe.
Yeah, so
Like where if you were to
That's-
try and turn time back,
it would turn it
It-
forwards.
you would turn forwards, and Mothman would probably be unaware of this at first, which makes Venom move much faster at the
Yeah.
beginning.
I think, odd enough, also, does gravity work in a different way there? Because of Mothman's suit, can he still fly?
I think he can still fly.
Alright, because if he can still fly, he might be able to buy himself enough time to figure out how
Yeah.
the Infinity Stone and the Infinity Gauntlet can work.
Because I remember in
Because he is a genius as well. That's
Yeah.
the thing we have to factor in. He is apparently very smart. So
in All Star Superman, apparently there was this bit where Superman was on Bizarro Earth.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem to have like the gravity seemed to be exactly the same.
to be fair, it probably wouldn't affect him the same way, considering he is super strong.
Yeah, true. The
But
only
to
thing,
be fair, if
but
he,
there was
if
a
he,
red sun though, because it's Bizarro World.
yeah,
So that's why.
that
I don't
doesn't
think,
matter for
I
either
think for the
one.
sake of argument, gravity wouldn't be hugely affected,
Yeah.
nor would air density be.
So let's just say it affects Power's abilities and the effects of certain weapons,
Yeah,
namely the Infinity Gauntlet.
and I think the Infinity
And the
Gauntlet
magnet.
would still work. It would just go. It would just work.
The
in a
controls would
weird
be.
way. I think if the magnet is repellent, then it's quite strong, because it means that Venom would be able to keep Mothman up at a distance.
Problem is, though, Venom relies on getting close to finish his enemies.
That's also true.
You're basically repelling the guy you want to kill. And if you
But
give
that's the thing, I
Mothman
don't
more
know-
time,
I don't know if Venom wants to kill, because the symbiote would be behaving differently.
that's true.
Actually, I feel like maybe I'll mostly lose this battle because Venom would be probably running away from the fight rather than trying to
Yeah. And that's the thing, I think Mothman all he needs now is a little bit of time, and then once he figures out how the gauntlet works, it is basically game over. Because once you figure out how to control all of reality,
Yeah.
all it takes is a snap of his fingers.
But that's the thing. I think he would think to himself, well, wait, what if I just use the time part on myself and fast forward in time so I can figure out how this works. But again, because it works in reverse,
He travelled
when
back.
he travels back to the point where he thinks of that idea again, gets stuck in a time loop, which gives Venom more of a chance to actually approach him.
Yeah. I think this one's a stalemate, oddly enough.
Yes, let's call it a cellmate
Because
I
I
don't
think
see- I
Bizarre World fucks every. Because that's the thing. If we're someone else, we're either Green Lantern, Cersei, they could figure out how to use, or MODOK, oddly enough, who is a genius,
Yeah,
or Wolverine, they could figure a way out. Because Wolverine would still attack. I mean, depending on what weapons they got. But I feel like Hal's a good improviser. Cersei is just all powerful, and magic
Yeah.
would still work normally. I feel in Bizarre World.
I don't see how this. I think this one is too complicated to actually get to a definitive
I
answer.
think Bizarre World was oddly enough a bad choice. It's an interesting choice to propose.
I think it was a
just-
great choice.
It is, but it doesn't seem like it's going to grab a winner.
Nope.
Which does mean the next round is probably going to have a winner, so we're going to know who wins this whole thing. At
Which is
least
good.
this is the one benefit from this stalemate.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, a stalemate is a... Oh, he's not even a villain as it turns out. He's a good guy. He's originally a villain though, wasn't he?
Who? What?
Mothman.
He was originally a villain. Yeah.
Interesting. Or maybe he was a hero in the earlier versions and they turned him into a villain.
Yeah. Yeah. I consider him a villain.
Killer Moth was the one I was thinking of.
That's the one. Okay.
Die!
Still, Killer Moth is fairly useless.
Yeah, alright. Abilities. Fight via suit. Flight via suit.
Yeah.
Incapacitating cocoon gun. Razor sonar waves.
That changes everything.
He could win.
No,
Yes.
hang on, Bizarre Earth.
So it reverses. Fuck! Alright.
So that doesn't take down. So he uses those sonars, but it doesn't take down Venom. Rather, makes him stronger. In
Yeah.
that sense.
Proportionate abilities of a moth
I don't know what a moth does.
Create dust. Eat clothes. Flight. Sharp claws. Sticky cocoon mucus. So it's not sticky now, it's slippery. Fuck, if we won on Bizarre World, he could have won this then. But he is, so that means...
There
Okay,
you go.
this changes things now. So he is a villain. The intelligence thing is no longer a factor.
So I think Venom might actually win this one
Venom
now.
might win.
It's literally because of the sonar thing that would have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he's not a genius level intellect, so he can't figure out how to make the Infinity Gauntlet work.
There you go.
To be fair, he might be dumb enough just to do something weird with it and just destroy
Then
everything.
again, I will contest that. Oddly enough, not in my favor by saying he would have the Mind Stone in it, and the Mind Stone gives information about a lot of things.
But seeing it...
But actually, it might make him stupid. When
Yeah.
you think of it.
Oddly enough, actually, I'm going to say it, I think it will still remain a stalemate because he has the Infinity Gauntlet. He's now super stupid. He's going to do something stupid with it and destroy Bizarre World.
And with it, Venom as well.
And himself.
Yeah.
So, no winner still.
Stalemate. Cool. Let's call it that. There you go. Bizarro Earth.
Bizarre World fucks everything
The
up.
greatest randomizer. Alright, you ready?
So we now know who the final combatants are. It's MODOK versus Cersei. Yep, the world was.
The world is Battle World.
Alright, interesting.
Now-
In Battle World, describe it to me. So that way I have
So,
it better.
so basically, Battle World is fairly plain. There's not a huge amount of things going on. There's like a couple of battle stations, but the idea is that I'm going with the Battle World of so many decades ago rather than Battle World of Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Because it's slightly easier.
Yeah.
It's just this huge plain of mostly nothing, a couple of caverns and stuff like that. But I think the fight would take place in the open battlefield, which is a very suitable finishing stage.
Yeah. Very classic. Alright. Ready for the flip?
Yep.
What did you pick?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do it again.
Okay.
Alright, sorry, I need to send a message to my mom after this. Anyway,
Heads.
It's tails.
It's tails. That means that you will get the Green Lantern Power Gauntlet,
Interesting. That should be interesting.
which means that I get the Nth Metal Axe.
Very... Oh, fuck. No! Battle World, big open stage. Cersei has the Green Lantern Power Gauntlet, and you have the End Metal Axe.
Yeah, MODOK has the Nth Metal Axe. Oh,
So, do you want me to describe how End Metal works, or do you want to?
you can describe it better, I suppose.
Alright, so in DC Universe, there was originally only one super type of metal, as opposed to Marvel, which loves creating them left, right, and center. So that was Nth Metal. Nth Metal comes from a world... It comes from Thanagard originally, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It comes from an alien world called Thanagard, where the Thanagarian race lives. Basically, that's what Shire Hall and Cutter Hall, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, come from. And in that world, Nth Metal has more scientific properties. So it's almost virtually indestructible metal. A hit from Hawkgirl's mace to Superman could deck him. Wouldn't knock him out, but it could deck him easily. But anything magical, the effects are made void by the Nth Metal Axe.
Right.
So basically it means it can, if you've got a wall made of magic that is indestructible, Nth Metal Axe can cut through it. If you've got, the Fate of Helmet, which is virtually indestructible, Nth Metal Axe can cut it in half. So that is the properties of it. It is extremely powerful and it's an extremely volatile substance. But however, it's also very rare. That's the other thing we need to stress. On Earth, there's very little of it, but in this situation, he obviously has one.
Yeah.
However, now we're moving on to the description of the other weapon, the Green Lantern Power Gauntlet. The Power Gauntlet was created by Crona, and it has the power of 12 Green Lantern rings in it. Not 1, 12! And they're already weapons of limitless power. So basically, to give you an idea, this weapon, I think at one point Green Lantern Hal Jordan wielded it, and
Yeah.
I think several Green Lanterns pursued him, and he knocked all of them out using it. That's how powerful the weapon is.
It's basically 12 times infinity.
Yeah.
You do the math.
I am going to say, though,
The Nth Metal Axe is really strong. I will admit, there's one drawback on MODOK, which is he has really tiny arms.
I was also going to say that Cersei has one big advantage. She has the she has the power gauntlet.
True.
So she can stop it dead in its track by creating a construct. But that's the thing.
True.
Because that's the thing. Also, if anyone's wondering, does the power gauntlet work the same way as a Green Lantern ring? No, it doesn't. It's just usable. Most people can. Hal Jordan had his ring stripped from him, and he was able to get the power gauntlet and just use it.
Right.
So that gives you an idea that the power gauntlet is more accessible to more people because it was created by Krona, who at the time was no longer a Green Lantern, no longer a Guardian of the Universe. Sorry, he was a Guardian of the Universe. He wasn't a Green Lantern, and he could, and that's the point in the end. The power gauntlet can work for pretty much anyone who gets their hands on it.
Right.
So she has a lot of power. More importantly, she can turn anyone into an animal. And, MODOK would become a very weird looking animal.
Well, yeah.
Very weird looking chihuahua.
Very tiny arms.
Yeah. I feel like Cersei is not
Yeah,
going to... I think she'd actually... I think it would be a bit of a steamroll because she is extremely powerful in the DC universe. I'm not saying MODOK isn't... I'm just saying she's on a whole
I
other
feel like
level.
this is what happens when you have Doorman in the first fight.
Yeah, because he would have been much better in this fight with Cersei, because then it would have probably been a much more even contest. Because the thing is, she's still a magical being with with the power of a god.
Because Doorman would have a portal inside of him going to like the back of Cersei, like inside the construct, would have the end metal axe, put it through him and kill her that way. But MODOK doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
The thing is are the constructs magic? They aren't.
No, they aren't. But
Okay, so the end metal axe has very little
effect
use.
on. Yeah, it doesn't work on the. I mean, that's the thing. That's why.
Because it can go through a lot.
It can
of
go
things.
through a lot, but the problem is the situations where I think of it has gone through constructs. It's been wielded by someone who's strong, by Hawkman or by a Thanagarian.
And as said before, MODOK has very tiny arms.
What
And
else
then-
are MODOK's powers actually? Does MODOK
Again, he's incredibly intelligent, and he can basically any machine with like that can be moved or like has a computer in it, he can control. But the gauntlet is made out of rings, and the rings are basically machines, aren't they? In a way, like just very technologically advanced and developed machines. So could he potentially take control of one of those rings? with
No,
a
because
superpower?
it works in a very oddly enough kind of not a magical way, but in a very almost celestial way.
Right.
Because the rings can only be used by those who are worthy of them. But the gauntlet isn't that. But however,
Yeah,
the
no.
gauntlet can only be used by the wielder, whoever's wearing it.
Right.
But wait,
But that's kind of the same with any tablet
actually,
device.
oddly enough, I think MODOK could win this because if that's the case of his powers, he may be able to turn the gauntlet against
Yeah, 'cause
Cersei.
if
At
the
which
gauntlet
point she
is a
would want to
supercomputer-
ditch. She would want to ditch the gauntlet, so she would get rid of it immediately.
And he would swing his tiny arms with the axe.
He'd have to get close though, and the
Yeah.
thing is, she's probably a lot faster than him,
Yeah.
and she can still fly.
I think this is a pretty definite battle.
Yeah, I feel like MODOK, if he had the right weapon, he could have beaten her, but
If he had the Infinity Gauntlet. then
Infinity
yes.
Gauntlet, or if it were on Bizarro World, maybe. No, maybe.
Maybe.
That's or maybe even Spear of Destiny if he had that, because if he's super intelligent, he could figure out how it works,
Yeah.
or figure out what the chant is. That is, I think Cersei was a. I'm not taking anything away from MODOK to anyone who's watching this. Cersei's a very powerful villain.
Yeah.
She is someone who has rivaled the Justice League alone, not even needing like a secret society. She has done it alone.
Yeah.
And she has actually beaten Wonder Woman a few times. And I think that's just the thing. You're in a situation where
Yeah.
she's just extremely powerful.
That's the thing. MODOK has been a villain of the Avengers on his own, but the plot allowed him to be in that position because there wasn't a lot of technology involved.
Also, the other thing is you have to bear in mind, he typically isn't working, like he has minions, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He has like his own private army.
Well, yeah.
Cersei can, but she doesn't need
I mean,
one most of the time.
People complaining about Thanos sitting in his chair all the time. You got.
That's all he does. That's all this guy does.
Because he can't do anything else because his body doesn't allow for anything else. Because
Yeah.
his body is literally a sitting child with a huge fucking head.
Yeah. And like I was saying, that's the thing about Cersei. She doesn't need an army. She can't take the Justice League alone by herself. Not with she wouldn't win, especially if there's Superman and Wonder Woman together, or Shazam as well. But it's. I'm trying to think of any ways to close fight, but the problem is Cersei is just too. She is a very overpowered.
I'm giving in.
She's
There's no way.
so powerful.
The thing is, I chose MODOK as a joke character because I feel like we both picked our lesser known villain to be a joke character.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
Well, especially kill
like-
him off for God's sake.
but ultimately, I feel like it was my strongest one against your weakest one, and then your strongest one against my weakest one.
Yeah.
So I feel like
And the
That's
two where
it.
we had. I think actually, oddly enough, I would say out of the two, Hal Jordan's probably the more powerful one of the two. Because if you look at their feats, Hal's feats are far more impressive than Cersei's, that is. So he's probably my most powerful combatant.
yeah, I feel like yeah.
Actually, the one way you really could have won this fight is if Cersei had the Helmet of Fate. Because then she and Fate just wouldn't. They'd be arguing the whole time. And MODOK would just. And the thing is, then she'd just have two magical abilities, magical weapon. And then
The
metal axe.
Wolverine would lunge at her with his vibranium sword.
Or then MODOK would go in with his nth metal axe.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you tune in next time
Yep.
where we wear different clothes again.
Yep.